Dig Deep Podcast number 24 with the man, legend, Colby Mehmen. Let's do this. All right, baby. We are live. Colby Mehmen. So good to have you in the show. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So you and I are good friends. I used to work at the running store, and you still do. So, but before we started the show, we were just talking about you. You were in Texas recently. You're from Texas. You go there all the time. I remember every time since I've known you, you always seem to go back there, which I really like. So what were you doing in Texas recently?
So I was in Texas doing a Dash Down Greenville 5K. Training was a little off, so I wasn't sure if I was going to do the race. It was on the schedule, but I was like, I think I'm going to pass on it. And then I was on the phone with my friends, and they just kind of hyped me up. They're like, find a ticket right now. It's like the day before the race.
Yeah. And
so we looked, found the ticket, and I flew in at like 12 o'clock at night. They picked me up, got to their house at like 2 a.m., and then got 4 hours of sleep, and I was on the starting line at like 7 o'clock. So I didn't have much sleep. It was a quick turnaround. Race ended up going pretty good off the plane. I ran 14:43, which is pretty good for me in marathon training. Got third, got $250, so I broke even with the plane ticket. Came back home.
That's what I was going to say.
Fun trip, yeah.
Oh man, buy a ticket overnight. That's crazy. But 250 was not crazy bad. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you went to run that 5K. Was that part of your current training plan, or you just decided to go there because?
Yeah, just a good tune-up, and then I love doing all the races in Dallas. Love going there and running with the home crowd. So it's always fun doing that.
Yeah, you have a big group there, right?
Yep.
I was just telling you before we started the show that the podcast that you had this blog post where you talk about. I think the title of it's "Why Not Going to the University of Oregon Was the Best Thing That Happened to Me," and I found it so inspiring because you talk a lot about failure and how using failure can be such a great motivator to help you to get to your goals, and also the fact that you don't need to be associated with big brands or big stuff to become great. And I found that inspiring not only because it sounds awesome and it's great and I believe in that, but the fact that, how old are you? You're like young, like 20.
24.
Yeah, dude. Like the fact that and when did you write this? 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So the fact that you were 22 years old and you were already thinking like that, it's pretty inspiring and awesome because I don't think that I had that kind of mindset until I was much older. So, we're gonna talk a lot about failure and running and everything, but why don't we first start talking about where did that hunger come from? Like, where did you learn to be that inspired, motivated?
Like you said, like sometimes constant failure isn't really what you think it is, and if you take it in the right way, it can really be a really valuable tool to yourself. So, in high school, constant injuries, not very fast, trying to find a way. Same thing in college. So that's kind of where you can turn all that failure into something great if you just really take it the right way.
Right. And you talk about injuries. Is it because help me understand this, because every time I talk with guys like you who are training super hard to win races and try to qualify for the Olympic trials, I feel that there's a lot of overtraining, an overtraining factor. Is that true?
I would say to an extent, yeah.
Okay.
I definitely push the boundaries a lot. I think that's what you have to do. That's kind of how I'd rather train. And then in high school, everyone gets injured. You're going through, you're growing and stuff.
Oh, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. But in college and now, sometimes I push the boundaries and I'm like, whoops, I paid for that one.
That is part of your personality as well, pushing the boundaries. When I was reading for this conversation, there were several articles that I read where you talk about, hey, my coach would have me run, 100 miles a month, a week, right?
Yeah.
And I would just go for 150 because I felt that the workouts were too easy or I was not running enough. So what made you start doing that?
So going to college, I was surrounded by some really awesome group of individuals. So like some of the, I don't know if you're familiar with NXN, but in 2009,
No. Mm-hmm.
Bernie Champion won national championship. Small 4A school from Texas, which isn't like the biggest division.
Okay.
So it was pretty crazy that they won. And they were in high school, all running 100 miles a week. You know, it didn't tell their coach. They just found a way to be great, and they all did it together. So I was on the team with two of them, and so they brought a lot of people on the team, like other recruits and other individuals who had the same mentality. And so, I was, inspired by them, really like looked up to them a lot. And, I started like sleeping on their couch instead of sleeping in my dorm. Like I just wanted to be around these guys all the time, And they're like, Colby, you got to run 100 miles a week, like if you want to be good. And I was like, I'm always thinking to myself, yeah, one day, I'm going to do it. Like I'll run 100 miles a week. And I was just sitting there one day. I was like, well, when are you going to do it? Like, you might as well do it now. And so I just started like I want to say late 2013.
Yeah.
And like, I think I've averaged 110 miles a week since 2014 or so.
You just made me think of a quote that you have in this article where you say, you need to stop thinking about one day will be the day and start thinking about today's the day or something.
Yeah.
Probably butcher it, but
no,
it's something like that.
Yes.
It's that's so true.
Because you're always thinking like,
right,
I'm gonna do it,
right?
But, like, and it kind of gets lost in your mind, and you got to find a way to do it now instead of later.
So that inspired you to start running longer distances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. And now you've been running pretty much since you were a kid, like 9 years old.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, one day you were just looking at pictures of your dad when you were. Was that when you were 9 or when you were younger?
When I was 9, yeah. Looking in the yearbook, saw him running. I was like, what is this? And then my dad took me out, made me run 100 meters as fast as I could, and then he made me run a mile as fast as I could. And he's like, well, you're definitely not a sprinter.
Because you made what was your time? 8 minutes and something?
Like an 8-minute mile, which is bad. But like,
oh my God. This is where I find it so funny. Like for the slow runners, like 8-minute miles. Not too bad, but it's okay. You're so fast.
Yeah.
So was that on the at the track?
Yeah, just on the track. Just me and him. I can still remember that day.
And what kind of distances, what kind of runner your dad was or is?
He didn't even run that much in high school. He just ran like his first 2 years, and he played baseball and basketball.
Yeah.
But, like he had the cross country background kind of. My mom was a hurdler.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then so they kind of like knew the sport, appreciated it.
Yeah.
And then helped me. Like my dad coached me for like the first 4 years of my running.
He's still telling you how to warm up?
Yeah, he is. He still tells me, get on the line, get to the front, warm up.
It's funny because for some reason I thought that when I was thinking about chatting with you, I thought you told me before that your family was not active at all, but now that I'm thinking, I think is this a conversation that I had with Logan.
Oh, okay.
But the way Logan is a manager of store in Lakewood. Littleton.
Yeah.
Okay. So he manages the running store in Littleton too.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was gonna say also was that talk about being inspired by your parent or your dad. Like my dad, he would run 10Ks, and funny thing is like he did this big race in Peru called the Cafetal Marathon. So Cafetal is a coffee brand, okay? Mm-hmm. And they call it a marathon, but it's actually a half marathon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you call it marathon if it's a half marathon? That was basically the highlight of his running career, and it's pretty cool because you get inspired to start doing something, and then you kind of take over on that and then keep pushing and keep doing other distances, right? Like after that, I started running marathons and ultras, but it's really cool that you get inspired, and that's how you get going.
Yeah.
And so you start running, and basically, I mean, high school, how did that go?
Yeah, I started running in 4th grade, summer track. So my dad, I don't know. He'd always find a way to like try to get me to be the best, whether it was being football. You know, he was my coach then, or if it was something else, he'd find a way to be my coach. So we joined a summer track club. A few weeks in, you know, he's the coach. You know, he's reading, he's putting all this work in, trying to figure out how to make me the best. And so I started running in 4th grade, and then I ended up doing my first half marathon when I was 12. That was 2006. Damn. Yeah. And my dad, like, he started getting really in the running because I was in the running, so like we'd run together sometimes. And we ran it together. And he's like, okay, you have to run with me for the first 10 miles.
Okay.
And, like, that's just the only rule. And, like, I'm just, like, wanting to go so bad.
Oh, really?
He's just making me stay with him. And then at mile 10, he's like, all right, you can go. And I just took off sprinting as long as I could. Blew his doors off.
So how was that experience like? Okay, it was pretty slow from what I hear. I mean, you felt like you were running slow at I think the first 10 miles. Were you like, do you have like focus on your nutrition and hydration, or were you just running?
Oh no, we just ran. I think I had some goose or something. I don't remember.
That's awesome. So what age? You say you were 12. Mm-hmm. You did your first half.
Yep.
And have you always been focused on that kind of distance or 10K, like shorter distances since then? Or how did you start building to...
I always had that like marathon, half marathon mentality, like even in high school and college. The mile and 2 miles is so short for me. Like, could never really have a lot of success. And then in college, 5K was even pushing it, and 10K was kind of a good sweet spot for me. So I always liked the longer races, always doing longer long runs, like in college, in preparation for the transition to marathon. So, yeah, it's always kind of been the race I've liked.
And you like longer distances better than shorter because of, I mean, the mental aspect, or what would you say? What makes it more appealing than?
I'm just really slow when it comes to speed. Like, really extremely relatively. Like, I can't break 60 seconds in the 400, which, you know, people I'm competing with like do that with ease, you know, or can do that 4 times in a row in a mile. So I definitely like the aspect of the marathon where, like, anybody can be good if you put the time in. You work on your biomechanics. Like, there's so many factors that play in that it almost makes it an even playing field. So I think, like, you put enough years in, you know, anybody can be there around 212, 210 if you just, you know, stay at it long enough.
212, 210. And what's your marathon PR?
222.
222. Yeah. Wow. And what is the current record?
201 world record. Yeah.
Wow. And when you were like finishing high school, I imagine you were considering to apply to all these colleges. How did that journey go? Like, were you targeting a specific school? I know that I imagine you were trying to get into Oregon.
Yeah. Like, obviously I had this like kind of naive mentality, like I'm gonna pop one off one day, I'm gonna get that big scholarship, but it never happened. All the schools I contacted, you know, not very many messaged me back.
What are the requisites, I guess, that you have to get the ideal scholarship? Or
usually you have to be below like 4:15 in the mile to actually get like enough where it's paid for. Below 4:30 in the mile can usually get you something like coach's interest. You know, I wasn't even below 4:40, so I had a decent 5K time though, so that helped getting some recruits looking at me. So I didn't have a ton of choices. But it was so I only had like 3 or 4. And I really wanted to go D1 because I was in that mentality at that age. So I was looking at like UNT, Baylor brought me on a visit, and Stephen F. Austin. And SFA was the one I ended up going with. And I was offered $150 a semester. Not very much. And then, that was just where it all started at Stephen F. Austin.
And what was I gonna say? So that's where it all started. And now this attitude that you have of not making it to the big school that you initially wanted to get, helped build this, I don't know, mindset and resilience that, hey, I don't really need to be part of a school that has all this legacy to be great. So, and I guess not getting into University of Oregon was the start of that change in your mindset, that attitude. Like, did that help to kind of start training harder and, I don't know, much longer and things like that?
Yeah, it definitely beat me down at first. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, dang, you know, I'm at a smaller school. I went there, and then my teammates kind of like sparked the fire. Like, I don't know how. Like, when I first got there, I was like, hey, 4 years, it's gonna be a good career. You'll graduate, you get a good job, and that'll be it. So I got there. Teammates are like, you know, hey man, you know, we're trying to make it to nationals. And I just still remember the person I was talking to. It was Nick Guerra. He was like my mentor the first year. He's like, hey man, we want to be towing the line at nationals. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, we still got a chance. You know, I'm still at a D1 school. I can still make it on the line with those big guys. You know, I'm gonna prove them all wrong. So that's kind of like where that spark reignited, was on that phone call. And I was like, okay, from then on out, I was like, I'm at a smaller school. I'm the underdog.
Yeah.
I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to try to, you know, rub shoulders with y'all one day.
Yeah. So when you talk about being part of D1 school, in the races that you were trying to compete against these guys, what kind of races are we talking about, and what kind of schools?
So I was 5K, 10K.
Okay.
And then like I wouldn't really race the big schools until like the end of the season. So because we would usually run smaller meets and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like the big schools in our region were UT, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. So those are the guys we had to go through to get to nationals in cross country. We never did that. And then in track, the way it's set up is like there's two regions, the West and the East. So I was competing with everybody on the west side of the region, which is the tougher region. UCLA, Oregon,
right,
Arkansas, Stanford. It's like all the big dogs, Power Fives.
Those are the Power Fives. I see. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so like those were the schools. Like I had to get to regionals to compete with them. The goal was always to get there in the 10K, which I eventually did. So yeah, those were the schools that Stephen F. Austin had to compete with.
Gotcha. You were just talking about that conversation that you had with this friend that kind of helped you to spark the fire. How was that process? Like that process of getting fired up for this? Like, did it take time? Did you start training with your friends, or did you start training by yourself? And I'm trying to understand more, like, how did that motivation start, and how do you build that?
Yeah, I mean, it translated like very slowly. Like, okay, let's find a way to get better. How do I do this? So I'm listening more. I'm reading more. I'm trying to figure out if what I'm doing at practice is in my best interest, or do I need more? So like, you know, like I said, I was sleeping on the upperclassmen's couch, like just trying to see what they were doing. You know, one of them made it to nationals my freshman year, so like I was just, you know, trying to walk in their footsteps, hang on during the hard runs, hang on during the easy runs. So I really looked up to them, and that's kind of what helped me find a way to get better. Was, you know, just following them. And that's when I finally started bumping up the mileage, bumping up the workouts and the intensity.
Yeah.
Just try to do everything different and outwork the competition, because that's what I had to do with the genes, you know, I was given. I feel like I not have the that top end speed that a lot of the other guys had.
It's interesting. It's like this idea of surround yourself with the people that you want to become, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, were you self-coached by then, or did you have a coach? And
well, I mean, I was in college, so I was like doing their workouts.
Gotcha.
But this like modifying here and there.
yeah, adding more mileage and things like that. Cool. What else? What else, man? Yeah, I'm just going through this article that you wrote. What? So let's talk about more about this article. What motivated you to write it? Because it's awesome, and I'm gonna put a link to it. But it just talks about how do you deal with failure, using failure as the inspiration that I'm gonna use to be better and not only show people wrong, but also, I guess, keep going. You have all these really cool quotes and that are really cool. So what inspired you to write it?
So I was in SFA. I was at SFA for 5 years.
The school?
Yeah, the school.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was at SFA for 5 years. I was only on the team for 4 years. My 5th year, I ended up leaving the team. So I was kind of on my own for that entire year, just training on my own. And then I was like, I'm going to do the Dallas half in 2016. So I won the Dallas half, and after
So wait. Yeah, okay. So that was your first half marathon, and you won it?
I've done a lot. It was
okay.
The first one I really raced, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
So I won that, and I was just kind of I've been doing all this training on my own. Kind of was really upset that, leaving the team, which was a completely different story. And then, I just kind of wanted to share my story with, the younger generation because I could just see, how much it's kind of deteriorated over the years. Less people are running after college. Kids are quitting first or second year of college, quitting running, just trying to get good jobs. So I kind of wanted to share my story a little bit and say hey man, you're gonna fail, you're gonna hit huge road bumps. Take that as a learning curve, project that into something into the future. So I wrote this article hoping to inspire some of the youth, kind of change the culture that I saw was developing, and I really wanted to kind of maybe inspire some kids to hang on a little bit longer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you inspire me. So, you were talking about the Dallas half in 2016. You win. Can you talk more about how that did all go and the training process that you went through to win it?
Yeah, training was great. So I remember I moved to Luling for the entire summer.
To where?
Luling. It's close to Austin, kind of.
Okay.
And I just trained out there during the summer, super hot. And then I come back to school. At that point, I was living in the van, just training on my own. I only got up to 110, 120 at that time. Then I entered Dallas half, and then I just took the lead from the gun. So I'm going to see how long I can hold this pace, and then ran 105.15. So I was super stoked, really excited with how I could take that forward because I didn't race anybody. It was just a time trial. I was hoping to run a lot faster, with competition.
Yeah.
I actually ended up getting injured after that. So, but yeah, I was really excited. Hey man, take another minute off, possibly get a sponsor. So yeah, that was kind of leading up to the Dallas half. Just training on my own. That's kind of where I started to develop Nomad, which you said you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, of course.
So kind of started that YouTube channel, that brand, that kind of idea or ideal during that time of training on my own before the Dallas half.
Got it. So, and is that the half in 2016? Is that because I've seen a video where you're running by yourself, dude, and your face is you're so focused. Is that the video where you had a little ponytail?
Yeah, I had a ponytail or a man bun.
That was awesome. Yeah, you're just by yourself. And you were just saying that you just went hard since the beginning. Were you by yourself the whole time?
Oh yeah, every step of the way. I remember there's a gun. The gun went off, and I took off, and I didn't hear anybody behind me, and I was like, "Did I just false start?" Looked behind me, and I just had a huge lead, and I was like, "Okay, this is, how it's gonna be. Just practice, hang on, run hard."
Is that, I guess, part of who you are as a runner? Run hard since the beginning.
Yeah. Lead the race, push the pace is kind of a little quote I used to live by. Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about the "I'll show you" tattoo in a
second
as well, dude. So you win that in 2016. You go back in 2017 and win it as well, right? Remind me your time. Was it easier than the previous year? How did that go?
It was actually harder because they changed the course too.
Oh yeah.
So it was a little bit more uphill. And then actually going back and looking at the Strava data, they sent me on this really weird turnoff.
Yeah.
And I, mile 4, and I was like, I remember when I did it, I was like, that didn't look right. Like that added a lot of time. And then I go back and look at the Strava data, and everyone else goes straight, and I go like this huge
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was a little bit longer than everybody else, but yeah, it was 106.45 the second year, which is a lot slower. But I was coming, like I said, first time I ran, I got injured afterwards, messed up both of my hip flexors, and just really had a really hard time recovering from those. I really just changed my mechanics, my efficiency. And then second year kind of got back to where I was. And then after that, I'm doing where I am now. So a lot better than what I was.
Yeah. And now are these races, when you, let's say you run the half marathons, are you trying to, are those races qualifiers for Olympic trials?
So the first
or just
one,
the full marathon?
Yeah, they will qualify for the full marathon. Some of the ones I raced, they weren't in the time period. I think the time period was
they changed the standards too.
They did change the standards. Yeah, like the day I ran 105.15. The day before they changed it to 104.
From 105.
It was 105. Yeah.
For the half. And did they do the same for the full?
The full they made slower, I believe. It was 218, and then mid qualifying period they made it 219. That's the U.S. trial standard. And then right now it's all up in arms because they're changing the Olympic standard, A standard. So I don't even know what they decided yet on that. They keep going back and forth. So,
and yeah, last year you ran your first full marathon, and you win it. That's crazy. The Dallas half marathon. So, and I guess you go back to Texas because I assume it's like your home, right?
Yeah.
Is it also because you imagine the course, or what are the reasons that make you pick, for instance, Dallas as, the place to go and run?
Well, it's, just my hometown race. So, growing up watching the Dallas Marathon, my first half marathon was the Dallas half. So I really looked up to the guys that raced it before me, like Scott McPherson, Logan Sherman, all those guys. And that excited me as a kid. I want to do that. 8 years from now, I want to win Dallas Marathon. So I want to go back as a local, and win the race. So some other kid does it someday or is excited about it. So I want to contribute to the Dallas running community, and kind of help build that fire that, back in the 90s and 80s we kind of had, and it's kind of died down, and trying to help reignite that.
Right. And how did that go? What kind of race was it? Was it harder than you thought it would be? Easier?
Yeah. I mean, I love the marathon. It was awesome. But and I love the Dallas Marathon. But a few weeks before the race, I found out I wasn't going to get water bottles, custom bottles, my custom nutrition. So
why?
They just didn't want to they didn't have enough people to deal with it or something. So yeah, that kind of stuck.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, whatever, rise to adversity.
So that was not just for you, for all the elites?
Yeah, all the elites. We didn't get custom bottles. And I know, I was like,
that was
okay.
marathon, man.
Yeah, hopefully we'll work on that in the future. But I was like, okay, that's fine. No, I'll just take cups. That's fine. It's my first marathon.
Did you like water or Gatorade?
Yeah, so water or Gatorade, whatever they had.
Yeah.
And I was practicing with my own fuel. I was a little worried about nutrition during the race, how my stomach would react. But I made some pretty big rookie mistake. I was feeling pretty good. Every night, I was supposed to take nutrition every 5 miles, and I had 3 goos in my pocket, and I was like, I feel good. I don't need to take it, and I didn't take it.
Of course.
And then I got to backtrack. The the water cups were plastic.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would grab them and like pinch them to like put them in like so it's easier to drink. And they would just crack in half and like all the water would go out. So I was like, okay, I got like 2 ounces of water in me. And I was like, okay, well, I don't feel too bad, so we're fine. And then I get to mile 20 and I just cramp up. Like hamstring is just done. So I just like I tried to run through it. I'm like limping, like this is not good. So I just stop, try to stretch it out. And at mile 20 is like this huge climb. Like,
I remember that because there was another runner who I think took the lead until mile 22, maybe. Is that right? And
I think it was 19, like a little after 20.
Okay.
And
then you hit that hill. That's when you passed him.
That's when I passed him. Yeah. And I was like, I'm limping, and I was like, okay, let's just push up the hill. That's what you always do. So like get in front of him and actually put a gap on him. I was like, okay, he's hurting too. And then I had to stop. I couldn't, I was like, man, my hamstring's I'm about to pull it or something. So I stopped for a while. I'm just like standing there. And then I ended up like slowly rolling. And the last 4 miles were just like a death march. And I was able to hold him off. I think I pulled a little, like 2.5 minutes on him at the end. But it was a pretty fun last 4 miles.
What made you think or realize that you needed to make that move on that hill to just take the lead from him?
Well, there's like one thing I like to race. One, like, I guess it's a mantra maybe, or rule that I like to race by is always wait to make your move. So never try to force it.
I see.
I was being patient, waiting, and I felt like he kind of showed a little bit of weakness, and then I just took it. So
you just wait for the perfect moment. You read the guy, you're like, okay, this is when I'm gonna make.
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty impressive. So you win the race, and what was the big prize for the winner?
Nothing.
I
got a jacket.
Oh my God, Austin Marathon, sponsored by BMW. Yeah. I thought they were gonna give you a free car, but no, but you got a jacket.
Yeah, I got a few jackets now. So I like them. They're awesome.
Oh man, come on! All right, that's not cool. So let's talk about the concept of nomad. So a little background I'll give here. You have or you're part of a group called the Nomad Running Society. You also have a business called the Nomad Running Company. You live in a van, which, by the way, it's pretty awesome. Is it vintage?
Yeah, 1976 Chevy G20.
Yeah, how many miles have you? 200.
It's flipped. It only goes up to 99 or 999,000 or 99,000. Sorry.
But when I see it, look at your van. It reminds me of Uncle Rico's van from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yep, just blue.
Sonic.
Yeah.
So you live in a van. Talk more about this idea of how did the idea of developing Nomad and even being a nomad start?
So that started like training towards my first half marathon. So I was training on my own. I was living on my own. And I was just like, I'm like kind of wandering around on my own, just kind of a loner.
What made you, start doing that?
Like, just trying to transit. Well, leaving college early was really what started that. Just kind of trying to chase the dream on my own because I thought that was in my best interest. And then I just liked, I like training on my own. First off, like we have a quote that says, "Motivated people don't wait for others." So, and that sounds cutthroat, but
no. But where do you get these quotes? Like, there's so many.
Yeah, there is. So I mean, most of them I get. There's a training program called Pavo.
Okay,
and that's pretty big for a lot of Texas runners.
What is it? Can you spell that?
PAAVO.
Okay.
And so it's like a training system that's pretty effective. Has stemmed a lot of really good high school track and field athletes. But also another thing that's really cool about it is It's really low key. It's kind of hard to find any information about. But one of the big training protocols from it, I guess is what you'd say, is that it's a lot of mentally based stuff too. So like, are you Spartan? Like, can you rise to the occasion? Can you be tough all the time when you need to be? So they have all these like one-liners that like you kind of live by, and then kind of helps like achieve the training to the maximum.
Yeah. The reason I want to write it down is because I want to find those quotes.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is like, you and I are on social media. We always talk about putting out content on Instagram and putting out phrases or quotes that hopefully will resonate with people. And it's sometimes, or a lot of times, it's so hard to find quotes, phrases that they're deep. You always find stupid stuff like believe in yourself and you're, or I don't know, like. So the quotes that you have are always, so awesome. So Nomad, okay, you start living in your van. You start training for your first half, you said?
Yep.
And how did that evolve into talk a little bit about more what the Nomad Running Society is and of course, Nomad Running Company.
So Nomad Running Society was like the start of everything. Started a YouTube channel, wanted to like track my progress, kind of show people like this is the road to like my dream, so like it's possible for anybody. I did a lot of like workout videos, kind of like I would take people on my day, kind of show them how I squeezed like 120-mile weekend, like that kind of stuff. So I just kind of wanted to be more open about running. The YouTube videos kind of slowly died. Just I still do them occasionally, but it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, it takes a lot of time to actually make them look good.
Yeah.
And then kind of just started focusing more on some like more important aspects of what Nomad was. So Nomad Running Society is kind of like a very like broad group. Now we have like social runs in Dallas every like Sunday at 7 a.m. Norbuck Park. So that's kind of like, it's kind of basically just a group in Dallas now that anyone is welcome, any speed. We're just trying to help build a running community, which is really nice because now we have a lot of high schoolers coming out to our runs, which was like our main goal. Like that's what we had as kids. Like we would all meet up and we're kind of like trying to reinvent that in Dallas.
And do you were saying fun runs or what kind of distances or types of runs?
So we always have the run on Sunday. So it's usually a long run day. So anybody will go from 12 to 22 miles. It's at White Rock Lake. So one loop's 9 miles.
Okay.
Sometimes we do 2 loops. And then we drop some people off on the first loop.
Got it.
So yeah, it's really just whatever you want to do. Sometimes people come out. They'll hang on like halfway through and then they'll go do their own workout. So it's kind of just really broad. We help each other out for what we can.
Nice. Yeah, it's a big group. How many people are doing those runs?
I think last week we had close to 40 people.
Nice.
And then like the average is around 16, 18, sometimes like mid-20s.
What do you think makes people to like to join those runs or be part of this the group?
I mean, we have some pretty cool characters on this squad, so they're pretty fun to be around. We also bring donuts, so that attracts some people. But one thing we've like really tried to do is get like some slower people out, and like it doesn't matter how fast you are; it's relative, and like we're all just trying to get better, and like we want to help you out just as much as you're going to help us out. Like we don't overlook you just because you're slower. Like I've learned some really awesome things from people slower than me, and I think some of the hobby joggers or slower runners get intimidated by that, and so like we're wide open. Like we're gonna listen to you, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna eat donuts. And drink a beer afterwards. So
I need to start doing that at Chesky's.
Donuts.
We need to Chesky's / Nomad run.
Yes.
And how did you start you guys start the Nomad Running Company?
So Nomad Running Company was like kind of a branch off of Nomad Running Society. That's just like our clothing, like specific branch. So my grandma, really awesome at sewing.
Oh, yeah.
She would like sew all my running shorts and like running singlets. all the way back from like probably my freshman year of college when she started doing that. And so
let me ask you something. When you say when you talk about sewing, do you usually you make your own singlets because you want to wear something that's different than what you can buy in a store, or
yeah, like I want it to be completely different
Okay.
than like.
so it's not
Nike
that you need to make your own singlets to help you, I don't know, to be faster or better.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just more like custom stuff.
Yeah, just to be
Got
like
it.
different, like kind of limited,
Yeah,
not like big brand, kind of like
totally.
yeah, kind of like just something different that people are gonna want to like show off. And I mean like it kind of sucks like all the running singlets look the same,
Totally.
few
Agree.
lines on them. Yeah, so it's kind of fun to put something fun on them. So Grandma would sew all my singlets for years. Came up with this idea to.
So you would buy the sorry, because it's interesting. You
Yeah.
would buy the fabric.
Yeah,
and
we'd
then-
buy the fabric, Joanne's fabric shop. So I would go there and like we get the fabric, get the trim, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd sew it and stuff. It's fun.
Okay.
But I can't get Grandma to do that for a mass production. So I like
Come on, Grandma, step it up.
Yeah. So for like 2 years, like I was just searching for a manufacturer. Took us a really long time to do that, to find
Yeah.
something worth actually like pursuing. And eventually we found someone, partnered with them, and right now we're on singlet number 4, which we just released like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And we're looking to release a lot more because we're getting pretty good reception from everybody. People love the singlets.
Yeah, I mean, 2 things. One, the designs that you guys offer are awesome because it's a combination of really cool designs, like the ones that you created, the ones that are like vintage looking, or with what do you call the Dallas,
Oh, the Skyline.
the Skyline.
Mm-hmm.
Or you also have funny ones like
Yeah.
how would you call that design that has like the 1990s paper cup design?
Oh yeah, the solo cup.
The solo
yeah.
It's like
Or the Dixie cup, I guess.
I
is what it
remember
was.
those cups. They were
Yeah.
everywhere. They were hideous. So that's
Yeah.
what makes it so cool, is because
Yeah.
anyway. So yeah, I guess the designs are pretty sweet. And also I imagine that you're still working with this company that makes the singlets for you, which
Mhm.
actually I just did a first round with them, and the quality of their products is pretty sweet. Like
Yeah.
I finally got those t-shirts
Yeah, awesome.
recently, which was like a month later. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
But the quality is really amazing. I shipped them to Team Chasky's, and people are really liking them a lot. They're so thin.
Yeah, it's super light. That's probably
That's really
the lightest fabric out there, honestly.
It feels like you're wearing, I don't know, a t-shirt made out of paper.
Yeah.
Like so thin. It's just awesome.
Uh-huh.
And you actually designed the singlets as well, right?
Yeah,
So-
I'm not the greatest graphic designer,
dude,
but
they're
like
pretty awesome.
I
I like them.
try to dabble.
Did you come up with that the wolf? Is that a wolf?
Yeah,
The
wolf.
logo.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What inspired?
So the wolf is
logo.
kind of inspired from like the book Once a Runner. Like the lean wolf leads the pack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like lone wolf, like kind of nomad. They kind of go together. So I was like, yeah, the wolf will be a great logo for a great mascot for Nomad.
Nice. Yeah. So when you say the wolf pack, I thought of the Hangover, the movie, like the wolf pack. So you guys focus on making singlets limited. I like your strategy, because why don't you talk more about the strategy you guys follow? Basically, limited
Yeah.
releases. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we do 25 singlets, limited release. We don't reprint, which is kind of stinks. But like when I used to look for singlets as a kid, like I wanted the one that no one else had. I wanted to be kind of different. Like, oh man, he has like 2008 Nike Pro singlet. How to get that,
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing. 25 off. You're going to own that singlet. If anyone else wants it, they're going to have one at 25, and they're going to have to get it from you. So I think that's really cool. especially from a kid's perspective. He's like, oh, I kind of own part of that company now. Like, I kind of own some of their history. Like, I got the third singlet they released. There's only 25 of these. So I think that's kind of cool to do for, like, the customers. Like, they kind of feel special to get something so limited.
Do you find that, would you say that your main customers are, like, high school runners or younger runners, or?
Yeah, I would say most of them are younger runners. A lot of like older runners buy them too in the Dallas area, just because they like supporting us, and they like wearing cool singlets too. So
of course.
It's really awesome to see a lot of the Dallas people have the singlets at races.
And do you buy, like, you say you buy the 25 T-shirts, so you buy them up front. How do you pick sizes? Just basically, you just make
So we do like 8 smalls, 9 mediums, 8 larges, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if you're really getting one of 8 in your size, so it's really, really limited.
And I bet runners from the society, they're always like,
yeah, like, and then like we get a few of them.
Do they get dibs?
Yeah, so we try to get first dibs, and then we pay full price for them. Just put it back in the company, but yeah, so they're hard to get.
So something I also wanted to ask you is the fact that you, not only live, in a van right now, so like you're very frugal, simple type of lifestyle, but you also are self-coached, right? Is that because you found that to be what works for you, or?
Yeah, well, I kind of like co-coach with like a teammate of mine.
Okay.
So, and like we just found that kind of like he'll give me the workouts, we can make adjustments with me. Like he's not like set in stone. Yeah, it just seems to work out better for me, so I can make better adjustments. I can push the boundaries when I feel like I can. I'm not always being held back. So, and then like the training style, which I think is very important to like someone's character. I want to push the boundaries a little bit more than someone else. That's just how I want to, live my career. Is doing something a little bit different. So, I push the mileage a little high sometimes, and then the intensity too. So that's something I want to do. Like, I want to try to, can't think of the exact words, but I'm trying to find a way to get to that top level. So I'm trying to do something no one else is doing to get there.
If you would have the opportunity to train with one of these big coaches or big running groups, would you consider that, or?
I mean, I definitely consider it. I'm not going to shut everything down, but right now, there's not very many coaches that I would,
get you excited,
take a chance on.
Yeah.
I was really excited. I almost transferred to OU once upon a time, and Kevin Ondrasik was the coach there. And I was really excited to train with him because he had like the same mentality as me, same coaching background. He was also like kind of under the Pavo coaching tree at one period of time. So yeah, Kevin Ondrasik would be definitely one I would look into.
And something that I read here that I thought it was really cool, related with your Nomad brand. You say something about man, oh my God, we have a guest here. Hey dude, I didn't know you were gonna be here. If I have known. So people who are listening, we have Joshua Stevens, friend Joshua Stevens. How are you?
I'm doing good. I don't want to. I just want to touch the magic for a minute.
I thought you.
Spicy.
I was planning to do. I wanted to do another podcast with you, but I thought you were going to be here only on Saturday, and I wasn't going to be here anymore. So.
Oh yeah, I'll be here for you. I'll be here anytime you want, man.
Let's
I'll set up a tent.
Next week.
All right.
Congrats on Backwater.
Thanks, man.
Dude.
Thanks for getting out.
We have a lot of things to catch up. Talk about.
Man.
Awesome.
So stoked for the rebranding and everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And I begrudgingly love this guy. So let you guys
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Hey, it's good seeing you, Joshua. So that was, again, Joshua Stevens, good friend, trail running extraordinaire at Boulder Running Company. Anyway,
he was on your podcast.
he was in the podcast.
I like his podcast. That was a good one.
That was the first one. Gosh, it just got me distracted, Joshua. Here. Oh yeah, you were talking about. I love this thing that you say. I want to be nomad until I die. I made a promise to all my friends I'll never sign a professional contract. no matter what my career goals are.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I put that out there.
Is that still true?
Yeah, it's still true.
Man.
I mean, like,
love that.
a lot of people say, like, I actually watched this video one time about people who sell out, like, but I mean, the whole point of your career is to find a way to where, like, you're getting to do what you do for a living. And so I want to do it a little bit differently, and I'm like going to try to stay, as close to that as possible, as stay nomad, for my entire career, not sign a professional contract.
Yeah.
If that ever is in the question, which right now it's not. But I want to be able to build Nomad to a point to where I can do that for a living. And then also, like, but my whole career is kind of about is, like, doing it differently, showing kids or kind of inspiring the culture that you can do it in a different way. So I would like to kind of not sign a professional contract, do it kind of a hood rat, dirtbag kind of way, and just, see if that inspires any kids to do that one day.
I think you guys have an awesome like concept. And now so much access through, social media, you can, reach people, and you can keep inspiring. So I think it's an awesome approach, and it takes a lot of courage, to just say these things. And so I really respect that. Want to talk about that awesome tattoo that you have on your arm. So for our listeners, it's a tattoo that just words that say, I'll show you. I watched a video. I think it was one of your interviews of your maybe 2017 half marathon, where you talk about that. Talk more about what inspired you to get that tattoo. It's a really cool story.
Yeah, so just like, I mean, it all stems from, high school, college. Like, colleges passed on me. Coaches, said some things that, I didn't like or didn't believe in me. Literally said, you can't do that. People in my life who I thought I could trust, betrayal, all that kind of stuff. So it really stems from a lot of things. And then it also stems from, like, being injured, being, like, a really low point in my life when I was, like, I don't really have much going on. Like, I'm injured. I can't run. I'm living at my friend's house for, like, $200 a month. Like, he's giving me a break. And so I was just, like, I had to rise. I had to kind of try to pull myself up by my bootstraps and kind of push forward. And I kind of took all that I've been going through and try to make it a positive. So I got this quote that says, I'll show you, which is a shortened quote of Muhammad Ali's, I'll show you how great I am. And I want to, so I kind of like instilled that. I was like, I'm going to get it tattooed on my arm. So I did that. And then I kind of, I have this to follow me around the rest of my life.
How long have you had that?
A little over a year, I think.
Okay.
Year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty powerful and so true. I mean, nobody's gonna come and rescue you. You know? Like that. I've been there. Again, like going through a bunch of things. Of course, there's a moment when you just realize, if I don't start working towards the thing that I just want to achieve or my goals, nobody else is gonna do it for me. So I completely understand it and agree with you. No, so you're living in Boulder now. How long have you been in Boulder?
So I guess it would be close to 10 months now.
10 months only?
Yeah, 9 or 10 months. Yeah.
How do you like it?
I like it a lot. Yeah. It's awesome. It's a lot different than Texas. Like not as hot. Weather's more consistent, and it's not as windy, which I love.
Yeah.
And then just all the trails here.
Of course.
So many soft surface trails around. It really helps with, running high mileage.
Do you have a favorite spot for running?
Tom Watson Park. I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's where I'm
really
at all the time usually. I have so many loops out there.
Can you park your van at the parking lot overnight? Or
no, they make you leave before 11. So
sons of bitches.
yeah. So I drive like a few minutes down the road, and I won't give my spot away, but I have a spot, and it's awesome.
And so are you planning to stay here for, the near future, or?
Yeah, right now planning on staying here. I don't really have anything planned. But right now I'm just focused on, the trials, trying to get to the trials.
When is that?
The Olympic trials it's next March. So like
a year from now?
Yeah,
less than a year
less
from
than
now.
a year from
Got
now.
it.
And right now I'm just focused on Grandma's Marathon in June, and then we'll see.
So to try to qualify?
Yeah, to try to qualify.
Yep.
And then we'll see what my living situation is like from there.
Got it. Something I wanted to ask you is, like, again, we talked about the fact that you are such a strong elite runner, and the fact that you also like self-coach. So I'm thinking for the people who are listening right now and would like to start running or training, and they cannot be coached because of several reasons.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of advice? How can people get started? What are the things that they can do, I guess, to
what I would do is, just go buy a book. Like, there's some really good training books, like Jack Daniel's Running Formula. A lot of people love that. Is like a starting book. V Hill's book. Is it Road to the Top? Another good one. You just kind of have to dive down. Don't just roll the dice. Like, try to find a systematic plan that works for you. But if you're just like starting clean slate, like haven't ran in like a year or two or so, just start putting in minutes. Like 5 minutes is better than none. So I had a customer come in the other day, and she's like, well, how do I get started? And I was like, literally go run for 5 minutes tomorrow. Like, and like, you're going to feel like it's easy, but it's actually probably going to be hard for you at first. And then you start adding minutes until you get up there a little bit, but you have to start somewhere.
So it's consistency. Huh?
Yeah, consistently, definitely.
How do you work on building that consistency and discipline?
It's a day in and day out process, and you have to try to find you have to get on a schedule, and you have to stay on it, and you have to kind of develop not only a mentality, but you have to make sure it translates into your lifestyle to where you're not even thinking about it anymore. Like, I don't have to go run. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
That's what I get to do.
That's what I get to do.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I have to do.
Yes. Yeah. That's what you get to do. So you have to look at it as like, you have to put yourself on autopilot and not fight your goal and not fight your dream. Just, get into that lifestyle and, keep living it.
Right. Does setting goals help you to be more driven?
Oh, definitely. I'll put notes in the van, to like keep me going, So, definitely.
Nice. Do you put photos of your opponents on your mirror, like Rocky and Ivan Drago?
I should. I used to have a picture of Galen Rupp in my van, and I drew like big like clown eyes on him, or like big like glasses. I took it down.
That's awesome. Do you follow any kind of routines on a daily basis when training? Or you have a lot of mantras, but if there are a couple that you can mention that
yeah,
you would like to share with
I definitely like every day is a routine, which is wake up. I always make the bed. People say that like first thing you do is, but I kind of have to, because I have to like make room to get up out of bed. So, and
you also do that to make you feel accomplished that
they
completed
say,
one task.
Yeah, they say that's the first task you complete. Yeah.
Got it.
So I do that, and then I usually stretch, run. I come back, eat breakfast, make coffee, work. If I'm able to go run on my lunch break, I do that, and then work, and then after that, run again. Or either strength training or run again. So just 2 runs a day, and then go back to bed, and start over again.
Do you do any kind of meditation or visualization when training? Or another question that I had for you was, what is your race day routine or ritual, or stuff that you do, or the day before? You know what I'm saying?
Race day routine. So before the race, I usually eat like the day before. I always do tacos or something.
Tacos.
That works for me. And And then, I mean, morning of, I always wake up like 3+ hours before the race. I'll eat like a small breakfast. And then it's just kind of, stay relaxed, stay calm, get ready, get on the starting line.
Do you visualize, seeing yourself running?
Yeah, I actually do. I try to find a point in the race to where I'm like confident that I've done all the hard work.
Yeah.
So like in the marathon, I'm like, all right, mile 20, you're feeling good. Like you're about to bring it home. So like I always find that spot. I'm like, okay, get there. Like,
yeah,
just stay calm, stay relaxed, get to that point, and you got the job done. So yeah, I definitely visualize. Kind of meditate. I don't know. I read this really, really weird book called Why Buddhism is True. Not like a conversion book or nothing about like like Buddhism, but like the science behind it. And it's really cool because it's kind of helped me like find some mental toughness, like separating yourself from the pain that you feel. And so, I mean, it's definitely a really cool book. You should check it out. I found a lot of like really cool stuff in it. But yeah, I mean, you can find like ways to like, I wouldn't meditate, but I would try to find a way to be more mindfulness of like my feelings, what I'm feeling before the race, keeping myself calm, not letting the anxiety turn into bad anxiety, keeping it like energetic, always keeping your mood up. So yeah, those are the kind of things I bring into race day and pre-race and while I'm on the starting line.
Got it. That's good to know. Thank you for that book recommendation. We're about to wrap up this conversation. Before we go, talk about running shoes. Any running shoes that you're liking lately for training and racing? I'm
all about the New Balance Beacon right now. That's like
the Beacon, right?
Yeah. Nice. I have had 3 pairs. That's like my everyday trainer right now. The new Kinvaras are good, and then like my faster shoes, the Takumis from Adidas, which like nobody knows about.
Wait. So you're not? Are you also wearing the 4%?
I am wearing the 4%.
Vaporfly Nikes.
Yeah, the Vaporfly 4%. I don't know if I'm gonna keep racing in them. Like, it's just a really, really soft shoe. I'm not sure if with my mechanics
the
it's working.
4%.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh. So the Takumis are harder?
They're a little bit harder, but they don't have as much cushion on it. So I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to go with the Takumis for the marathon, which is kind of pushing it, or if I'm going to stick with the 4%.
Are the 4% giving you 4%
I don't
advantage?
I'll be honest. I think it's just a really good cushioned marathon shoe.
What?
I mean, if you look at the other like marathon shoes, they're all very firm. I feel like more so than I would like. And don't offer a lot of cushion and a lot of response at the same time. So yeah, I think the Nike 4% gives back a little bit more, but I don't know if it's giving me 4%.
For all the people who pay $250,
yeah,
4%. Have you had any kind of mentors or any kind of people that you found really influential, in your life in general, training or personal?
Really just those guys I met in college,
Yeah.
the Bernie boys, and all the upperclassmen I had while I was there. And then like the guy who co-coaches me now, Michael Barnett, same age as me, which people find kind of funny because someone the same age as me is coaching me. But yeah, like we always keep each other in check and, are always there for each other. And I think that's what's most important in your life is having people that are actually invested, when you fall and they help you back up. So those people are...
And especially people who don't need to be big names. I'll tell you this because right now I'm really excited. I'm about to start training, again for trail running. And before I used to think I need to have a coach who's like super famous to coach me because they know, what's best or blah, blah, blah. But now just I'm going to start coaching with a coach who I didn't know much about her. She's a trail runner. And, sometimes simple is better.
Yeah.
I agree. So that's awesome. Dude, this has been awesome. I had so much fun always catching up with you. For people, if people want to find you online, because, people want to learn more about Colby, where can they find you? Dude?
Instagram would be the best, I guess. That's where I'm most consistent. And my username is Colby_Wayne_Mehmen, which I'm sure you'll spell it for them.
I'll put the link. But dude, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. Good luck with everything. Not only all things running, but also Nomad. I love what you guys are doing. So keep up the great work.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure.